Hello and welcome. Have you ever wondered what's going through a little kid's mind when they're faced with a big choice? Between doing the right thing and, well, not. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating roots of honesty in young children and what actually helps them choose to tell the truth. So let's get right to it. Picture this. A kid is taking a test and it's just a little too hard. But right there on the table is the answer key. What do? Do they peek? What is it deep down that helps a child resist that temptation and choose honesty? It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer, as we're about to find out, is pretty surprising. And to get to that answer, we're looking at a really clever new study from researchers at Hangzhou Normal University and the University of Toronto. They came up with a great way to get past what kids say they'll do and find out what they actually do when nobody's watching. So, how in the world do you test for honesty in a 5-year-old? Let's break down exactly how they set up this experiment. First off, the study involved 200 kids, all around 5 or 6 years old. And for context, they were all from middle-class Han Chinese families attending a kindergarten in a big city in the People's Republic of China. So we're looking at a specific cultural and developmental group here, which is important to keep in mind. The setup itself was pretty straightforward. Each kid was given a counting test and was told the goal was to get a perfect score in just 5 minutes. Then the researcher would say something like, "Oops, I forgot something, I'll be right back." But before leaving, they'd point to an answer key on the table and say, "Now remember, don't peek." And of course, a hidden camera was rolling the whole time to see what would happen next. And here's the really smart part. Take a look at the test. The first few questions, totally doable for a 5 or 6-year-old. But that last question was designed to be, well, basically impossible to solve in the time they had. This meant the only way a child could get that perfect score was to cheat. It created the perfect little temptation. So, the researchers had a big idea they wanted to test. Maybe confidence is the key, right? Does a child's belief in their own abilities make them more or less likely to cheat? It seems logical. So first, they measured something called general self-efficacy. You can think of this as a kid's overall "I can do this" attitude. It's not about one specific skill, it's just their general feeling that, they can figure things out and succeed in all sorts of situations. But here's the first major surprise from the study. They found absolutely no connection between a child's general confidence and whether or not they cheated. Kids who felt really capable overall were just as likely to peek at the answers as kids who didn't, so that wasn't it. All right, so if a general "I can do it" attitude doesn't predict honesty, what about something more focused? They then looked at task-specific self-efficacy. This is a child's belief that they are good at this one particular thing. In this case, how good they thought they were at the counting test. And you guessed it, another twist. Even the kids who said they were great at counting were no less likely to cheat. So neither general confidence nor task-specific confidence seemed to be the thing that protected kids from cheating. This left the researchers with a really interesting puzzle to solve. So if it wasn't about a kid's pre-existing confidence, then what was the key? Well, the real breakthrough, the aha moment, came in their third and final experiment. And it turned out the answer wasn't something kids already had, but something that could be given to them right there in the moment. For this last study, they split the kids into 2 groups. The first group, the control group, got the same test with no feedback. But the second group, the experimental group, got a small but really powerful intervention. Before the test, they did a similar, quick counting task and got some brief, positive feedback that helped them see, hey, I'm actually better at this than I thought. And the results? They were just, wow, look at this. In the control group, the kids who got no feedback, about a third of them cheated, 34%. But in the group that got that little bit of positive, realistic feedback, the cheating rate was cut by more than half, dropping all the way down to just 16%. So why did this work so well? Well, the feedback wasn't just empty praise like, "You're so smart." It was specific, and it helped the children form a more accurate picture of their own skills. They'd been underestimating themselves, and by seeing they could actually succeed, they built a real positive belief in their ability for that task. And when you feel capable, you don't need to cheat. This, of course, brings us to the big question. So what? What can we, as parents, as educators, as anyone who cares about kids, actually do with this information? The big takeaway here is really practical. It's not just about telling kids they're great.
It's about helping them see their own progress. We can praise the effort they put in or a clever strategy they tried, not just whether they got the right answer. We can help frame a tough assignment not as a scary test, but as a fun challenge they can totally handle. And maybe the hardest one, we can help them get comfortable with struggling for a minute instead of jumping in to rescue them right away.
When you put it all together, this research leaves us with a really powerful idea. If we want to raise honest kids, it's not enough to just teach them the rules. It's about building them up from the inside, helping them develop a genuine, earned belief that they are capable of taking on challenges all by themselves. Thank you for listening to the Integrity Lab podcast. This podcast is brought to you in collaboration from the Child Studies Labs of the University of British Columbia and University of Toronto. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.